Traders! Stop getting suckered by old propaganda and let the market reveal its hand. Bitcoin is compressing at a key level. We have geopolitical tension everywhere. Global quantitative tightening phase 2 is now active and markets are unstable. And yet, nations are still buying this pullback. In this video, I'm going to show you why Bitcoin is repeating the quantitative tightening cycle structure, where liquidity sits right now. Also, the level that could start the next major move and why 49K might get swept before the next expansion, and the exact 4-hour setup that I'm planning for the next session. Michael Saylor is removing thousands of Bitcoin from circulation. Okay? Central banks are reallocating from gold into Bitcoin, and meanwhile, most traders are confused. We just took a trade, a high reward risk trade in Bitcoin, and that move locked in over $1,000 of profit. This market isn't random, people. It's positioning. And if you value real-time analysis and real trades, do me a favor. Actually, do yourself a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Just go over here, press the subscribe button, and you are in. And come on, give me some likes because I could use some likes on these videos, man. Let's try to go for 40 likes. And also, listen up. If you have a friend that likes to bang it out at the bottom, share this video with that friend. And if you want real-time entries and trade management and updates all in real time, there's a free Telegram channel. The link is in the description. This is not a calm market, and this is a setup market, and it's not going to wait for anyone. Let's go! So first, let's get into the macro before we get into the charts. While retail is debating whether Bitcoin is weak, nations are buying. Kazakhstan, isn't that where Borat is from? Hello. Kazakhstan's central bank is now allocating hundreds of millions from its gold reserves into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. They have hundreds of millions of dollars? All right, I mean, that's almost as bad as El Salvador, but at least the girls are cute over there in El Salvador. Anyway, read that carefully. Gold reserves being rotated into Bitcoin. That's not speculation. That is strategic allocation. And it's not just one narrative developing here, because check this out, okay? Raoul Pal, all right, this guy is basically another Michael Saylor over here, just issued a major statement. He says he believes Bitcoin should be at 140,000 based on global liquidity. Why? Because of the M2 money supply and the weakening dollar. Let's take a quick listen.
The weaker dollar is one of the biggest indicators of liquidity as well. So for me, it's all here. It's just a matter of waiting for a catalyst of which to take this all off, because I think the market is currently trading at a discount to liquidity conditions and at a reasonably significant discount. So, you know, if you were to close the gap versus liquidity, Bitcoin should be where we are today. We're around 90,000 as ever.
Okay, now we get the idea. But here's the thing. So this is the thing, right? So you got to pay attention to these things because this type of propaganda, don't be suckered by it. This is old, all right? This guy, Bitcoin was at 90,000 when this video came out. So, you know, just keep that in mind. It's good that you have this kind of cheerleader type of stuff, but don't be suckered into it. You have to make sure you're doing your homework, and that's why we do it on this channel. I'm doing your homework for you. So pay attention, okay? Now, Bitcoin doesn't ignore liquidity expansion, it reacts to it. And liquidity continues to develop. Bitcoin is compressing, right? Now that's fuel. So here's the thing. Michael Saylor just confirmed he plans to remove access to over 17,000 Bitcoin. That's over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, Mr. Powers. Okay, reduced float, all at the same time while countries are buying and liquidity continues to expand. So think about the equation. That's why this statement is important. Again, this is also old propaganda. So please keep that in mind, right? Don't take this as new. Take it as a grain of salt. So supply is tightening, nations are allocating, and liquidity continues to expand while the dollar is weakening. And price is consolidating. Markets don't stay compressed like this forever, right? All they need is a catalyst. And then when liquidity plus a narrative plus the positioning align, then you get those big expansion phases. And they don't ask for permission. They just start and then they go. All right, so let's get into the chart so I can explain this further. So right now, the world feels unstable, but we're in the second quantitative tightening phase, right? If you look at Bitcoin on the monthly chart, something very important stands out. During the first quantitative tightening cycle, right? We had this aggressive sell-off, and then fear was everywhere, liquidity crisis, all that other stuff. And then what? They cut rates aggressively, right? And then we had this major move, which was a function of the liquidity as a result of the extremely low interest rates, right? That was Powell getting a little too nervous back then. But right? And then we saw basically an expansion for like 2 years, right? Or 2024 through 2025, we saw that full 1 year expansion. Then we had the consolidation that created the base for the next breakout, right? And now, look, price is returning to the same major support area again, right? Now, once we get out of this quantitative tightening phase, right? And while we have this global tension rising and we have all this geopolitical stuff going on in the news, right? Market uncertainty, the structure is repeating. Now, I'm not saying history will repeat itself exactly, but structurally, this is where expansion phases begin. So you have to pay close attention to that. Don't lose sight of that, right? Because the institutions, they're paying attention. Now, let's take a look here at the weekly time frame, right? Now here, before the recent pullback, what was Bitcoin doing? It swept liquidity above, as you see in this yellow zone here, right? It tapped the fair value gap, and then it sold off into the next support. That is classic liquidity engineering. Now, price is sitting near the weekly support again, and it's not aggressively bouncing just yet, right? It's accumulating. And when price accumulates at support like this, you have to look below because there is clear liquidity near the $49,000 level. That level is clean. The level is obvious, and obvious liquidity often gets consumed. So, but a sweep into the 49K zone before a major move, structurally, it makes sense. So keep that in mind. We can see that. Now, let's talk about the daily time frame, right? So on the daily chart, we have a clear liquidity zone above and support sitting around the 64,000 to 62,000 level. Right? There's also a trend line of liquidity that's developing above. So we have two scenarios here, right? The first scenario, we have price rallies into the supply, as you can see here, right? And then you get a rejection where we can see that price go much lower. Or we see price just break the 62,000 support and then move much faster toward the liquidity. And that, like I said, that liquidity could be 49K. Either way, this is not a random area. This is a decision zone. Now, let's get into the trade updates, right? I'm going to begin here with Morpho because Morpho is almost, it was going toward the stop loss near the $1.60, right? And if it reached it, then I get stopped out, but it's still a profitable trade essentially overall, right? No emotions, but if price continues to hold, and as you can see, we now have a higher low in place, right? Around the 165, 170, whatever, then we're looking for the continuation to the second profit objective. So I'm letting the market decide. I'm not jumping ahead. I'm not getting emotional about it. I let the plan just play out. It's that simple. Now, let's talk about the new trade idea, right? So for the next session, right, which may be sometime, today, depends on when you watch this video, on the 4-hour time frame, liquidity is clearly developing around the $71,000 level, and Bitcoin is showing a short-term bullish rejection. All right, and above that level, what do you think we have up here? Stop losses. So if price pushes into 71K, I'm not blindly shorting. Remember, this is a short we're looking for. I want confirmation. If structure shifts, if momentum stalls, then I see a proper alignment, then I'll look for the entry, right? The reward risk on this is 3.5 to 1. So partials, you see the partial profit objectives lower here, profit objective 1 and 2. This again is not a random trade. It is a liquidity-based plan. All right, so speaking of that, let's talk about the trade challenge, right? We started with $10,000, and after the Bitcoin trade, I locked in over $1,000 profit on that move alone, right? That was structure, patience, and proper risk management. And all of these leverage trades are taken or they're done on the WeX platform because you get fast fills, clean fills, and proper leverage control. No emotional entries and no gambling, right? And every single trade, of course, is tracked in profits precision. All that, everything, the win rate, the net P&L, all that, the real numbers, right? There's no guessing here. And remember, Profits Precision is completely free to use. So take advantage of this because it's probably not always going to be free, right? So if you're serious about becoming a profitable trader, you need to journal everything in detail, not just motivation, you need data, right? And this challenge is not about flexing wins. It's about watching your edge or watching your plan play out over time, okay? losing trades are going to happen. Break evens, they're going to happen too, but they protect everything. And winners scale. So make sure you check this out because you could use this. Now, people, here's the thing. Listen carefully. So here we are, right? We have a second quantitative tightening cycle. We have global instability all over the place. And we have liquidity expansion. We have supply tightening. Make sure that you know that this is not a boring market, right? This is a positioning market. And every day I'm putting new trades in the Telegram channel, all right? For Bitcoin, altcoins, swing trades, high reward risk expectations, everything. It's all there. The stop losses, the management, the adjustments in real time, right? Before the move, not after. So if you want to follow the $10,000 to $100,000 challenge and you want structured trades instead of emotional reactions and you want to use WeX, right, to trade your plan with profit precision, just join the Telegram channel. The link is right in the description. You just expand the description right there. The link is right there. It's free. There's no excuse. You should be in there. So stay calm, and I will see you in the next one. Let's go!